It's done as it is now, and it's starting to get hard. Mutation is very difficult. 3 or 4 times as much growth as a dream. If you want the opportunity, it's got to have crises. It must have broken down. Fortunately, there is a chance that it will grow. But it's still going up. I think it's a chance to multiply by 5 by 10. It's not. Sir, donate. In the past, we shared it with each other. You said that in those investments you made and speculation you need a story that's huge. Then you decide you're in. I can share this reason with you today. The history of why you found this element. So that you can succeed in the business you invested in. My brother said before that FPT shares you yourself see that. The stock's success is also due to the story. The first is technology. The second is that there's a USTPG and before getting on the floor, it's made such a powerful breakthrough. At that time I didn't realize that either. I gradually understood that a stock that wants to go up, if there is to be a breakthrough, there must be a fascinating story in the future, maybe profit in the future, or changes in the product, changes in technology. That's huge changes to create huge expectations for the future. The breakthrough is big enough. It can be short or long. If you want to fight long, and there's a big profit, I have to find the story. Maybe support the industry can support of a thing that foreign state investment policy. The FPT deal. After you invest in the fairy tale, the story behind the fairy tale. Let me decide what was invest. It like? The business of the commercial is also one of the deals. Your success. I think it's a lucky thing to do. You didn't find it yourself. In the process, it's you. I have a relationship with you. On the HSC side talking about that state the previous issue. Disorientation of the year 2 not the 13. Reason it's also from 2008-09 it's a crisis. In year 2, not 10. You and the same man looking for the profits of the MB. Virtual above a Fu Huan Securities that's company. The ACB gold floor. And then there is a part that we went to the bank deposit rate. The bank mobilized it very high. It means you remember the P. Don't be sorry for the past. Vietnam believes in the bank. It later merged with the First Bank and Saigon Bank. It became SCB Bank. It has to do with the next 1,000 years. I was with him. And you have the same piece in there. Is to be negotiated at an interest rate of 24% we send a year out. Not after about a month. That's the bank that merged with SCB Bank. We were looking for interest rates at the time, because I think it's a risky market. Along with the previous exchange rate fluctuations, make little faith in the stock market later. Then you realize that it's the top of interest rates. Because then the interest rate goes down to the bank. Is reduced. Lower interest rates is the bottom of the stock. You play with the guy who is. At that time I kept working. If you buy a stock, you go ahead. I sat and said, why don't you buy the stock? He said, yeah, I'm still collecting the winter kept stocks. It for now. Break even, and there may be about 230,000 left. Then back to the P. I sold it for 150 just by 10, 70, 89 around there. To year to not 14. That's after you quit your job at PVP. Then you're back on the market. I met your brother. Are you talking about? Your son's box says the financial statements. Relatively fine, sir. I have a brother who is. Investment in the sub-box is relatively and he's strong. So sure he's studying in America. I studied MBA there. You're holding a relatively large baby box. I think it's also interesting information. Let me care about you. I am very close to you as a broker in HCMC. In the process of finding out, I found it. 2 brothers sitting together, you said. Company. Well, I am fine. But it has a point. He has bad debt. A customer who is no longer able to pay. Like the Tricken project, Tricken Town. It is owned by BenVTV company. But it ended up malfunctioning. The two sides something doesn't pay for that part. Coteccons has a reserve of 75 billion in the financial statements. You were you at the time. I dream a lot about the real estate market. I don't know if the real estate market when we invest. The construction industry the real estate market is fine. The construction company is fine. I think the valuation is reasonable. The stock is attractive. Trading on the floor is very low. It can trade this 3,000. it could be up to 10,000. At that time, the charter capital was 422 billion. There are sessions where it trades only 500 shares. Your thoughts are on the both sides. The price is around 50. It can't be thrown away. Those who don't want to sell are sure. You need to know the value of the stock. You must know the company doesn't sell. Of course, if you buy high, there is supply. But buying low is impossible. Large charter capital. That private enterprise liquidity is so low. So I started to care. Dive into the financial statements. Find out what business it has potential for. So I can be a bet in the middle of bad debt and the future of it. I see that this one is the industry leader. The most difficult time of the year is 12. Then it can also be released separately for Custo as 50. It was about 525 million. I remember the second one. $5 million. It's a lot of money. And when interest rates are so high and raise foreign money, while being a competitor, those who are directly involved in the peace process a lot. The second business, your ferry is the first to raise money. In difficult times, there is a lot of cash. It's not a bank loan. You see, that's the advantage point of a leading business in an industry. Management is good. Then you also learn about Nguyen Ba Duong. I think the brand is relatively good because I also know one. I studied in Russia and was born at the age of 9. I also know that Young was born in the 9th year. Also went to school in Russia. He said his personality was fine. That the business built barriers to participating in the competition. Then it's easy now to have a competitive advantage. There must be a human operator, or how the administration is special. It's worth investing in because the rate of construction is so low. My daughter's peak is only 8%. Rival company, 5 to 6% is the same rate of return. So if, for example, you don't get the profit, and it only takes 1 or 2 debtors, make the cash flow of the business negative while being a ferry, you are the cash flow always young. I see there's strength in it. Then you care and you start buying. In the process, you find out more. It wasn't until a year later that the business broke out. In July of the year 2015, there was an article talk about Mr. Nguyen Ba Duong. After that article, about a week ago, it's a new stock. In the story you can see, especially, the company had a competitive advantage. Profit margins were higher than normal. You've used the rumor part very carefully. That means you also know I'm very confident that you're funny. From there, I believe I can invest. Right. It's also part of what I do. Of that business. I feel that at least as a general contractor, it must also big investor. After the bottle, year to not 13, then you see this little ferry. They're sad about a lot of this big projects. Master Eye. Golden View is a very large investor. Even in the great light of things, you see the projects, their side is starting to get huge. And they're starting to shift to the model. That is to go Vietnam first. About DNB. It means design and construction in charge of both design. Give the most services to the investor. And from there, it's a breakthrough. More than that, they're starting to the field. A industrial construction. Coteccons got a contract with 2 Chinese companies. It's about dying. The 2 factories that built it are about 2,000 billion. So those are the breakthroughs. Go to the 4. Phase. The business it manages, stronger in a new direction that's designed and built. We have just turned to industrial construction to welcome the works it on continuously. Actually, the capitalization at that time of Coteccons, at that price, it's only about $1 trillion. The revenue at the time was, it's almost 5,000 billion. For a leading business like that, it's worth investing in a future. Through your story, I see the story you're telling. I learned a lot about this profession, to this board, and new contracts of the company. I'm also very aware of the risks of the industry. The human factor is very important. If that's the case, you're a billionaire. It's also quite important to the public. It's not as big as FPT, but it's also relative. Your luck is also. I met a man. Go back to Russia and you're doing the right thing in construction. He's able to assess his industry expertise. I remember when he was investing. Construction company goes to school before itself. This seed. I also work at the river company. Then you came back. I've been investing in stocks since 2002. In 2005, I knew that this guy was play very close. So at that time, I asked if you knew about the construction industry. What to say about a Coteccons? I was out on the street. Then you just see the 3 main companies are P, Coteccons, and Delta. Delta is not listed. I thought Delta was a foreign company, but later I knew it was Vietnam. I know you can exploit a lot. on professional issues and human issues. I understand that governance is important to where people. The investment actually goes relatively large. A little bit. I need people when I invest beyond the growth story. In business, I also the importance care. Of what the is. Administrator. Right. What about the manager? I think it's a factor that's guaranteed so that I can believe. Give me your money to invest in the company. It's all about behaving with shareholders. I think beyond the skill of managing things, integrity itself is important. Now businesses of Vietnam. Success is also about managers. It's very integrity. For example, Rees Bao My Bar. Vinamilk's future, for example, Trong de Ben of FPT. It means they're all very honest people. In addition to making money, people's balancing passion. The interests of shareholders and whether they're talented or not. It's into the company's business. Right. Whether it's talent or not, you still have to show a number. The value of the business goes up. I can't talk. Your brand has also grown. Even as you can see now, it's my decision. I'm still right. Now I know it's a Coteccons after that. Nguyen Ba Duong, he left about the conflict. The board of Coteccons. Now you set up companies. It's also very in the popular. Construction industry that's as well. That's what you invest. And then when the deals that you're speculating so how different is the story? For the stories you invest in, when I identified that the story is not big enough, I can also participate. The story expects it to be lower, but I also have a story. I know that if, for example, there's a problem, I can still handle it if I just follow the wave of the market. I can't keep the goods, or I don't have faith. With the stock, too short to join. You have to see one. The story is a little longer, but my expectations aren't high. I'll follow the stock. If the cash flow is reasonable, let me in. It means that outside of technical and then market factors, I'll compare the stories behind. These are speculative whatever stocks. Story it is, I'm in it. That's right. Maybe a profit story. Maybe the story of raising money. If the period that's not attractive to raise capital. I shouldn't care about raising money either. When people raise money, they think of it as a fight to be released. After that, the capital increase is this no is longer because attractive. Of the uptrend. Big uptrend. What's going on is that people get the crowd in. The capital increase maybe is I complete. Can't even eat the stock. To release more, later on, investors will be smarter. They are older on the market. So it's something that raises capital that has to be the effective. Story is just raising money. It's no longer attractive. It means, for example, the company must have a project ready to raise money to do the project, right? Or the potential of the project has or the to source be big. Of income. For what it gives, it has to invest in the right thing. The future is brighter. People see more clearly. It's also easier to raise capital. And the people who buy it are more acceptable. Take the case of KSV. For example, I see that you invested from the stage where it breaks out of the accumulation zone you're already in. That moment was the reason. And what's the story that gets you into that phase? It's also an accidental story. Into the rare earth phase. Rare earth prices and the rare earth potential of Vietnam. But people can pick it up. If you look at the market, you get a point like this. First, it's a little bit of a stock. It's a state corporation. The market was weak at the time. It is being sold abroad. The market is almost flat. Not much trading. I think it's simply cash flow. He's looking for profit. They all have to make a profit. Which story is easier to tell? It's easier to smoke money. There is a creator. It's low and it's easy to take. The story comes because the last story is it's still a price if you hike. Can't make the stock go up. The story is not good anymore. So if you want a story, there's a price increase. They want to raise prices when cash flow is so weak. It's got to look for stocks that are specific. Market, you see the stock movement. It's strong. Market at the time. It brings together a very rare story. They suck the money. The speculator they call goes a little ahead. Maybe they got to that part. The important thing is to keep the I remember that period when the market was There's very only weak. A few next. I only played 2 of these Vs at the time. That's KSV and 2s. You see, most of the market has no way. There's only 2 of them, and you can join. I feel so terrible. First you have to judge. What is the state of the market? What's the story, and what's the cash flow? I just started picking stocks, which is the KSV. It's also starting to be profitable. We've also started talking about quarterly profits. There's a mutation. You don't care about the mutation as much as industry you do. And the amount of its stock. There's less stock outside of it. That's the demand at a time when the market. It's less money, the stock market trades it less. Second 2s, it also meets the criteria. Third 2s, it's a subsidiary of Newport. Relatively good business results are improving. The port industry was also on the rise. PHP things before it also emerged are trending. That's what I care about. In the short term, see the opportunity. Of course, when you join. In the short term, its weight must be reasonable. I didn't expect too much there. I can't eat even a KSV. If you only go up to 200, you will sell it. Can no longer be
But that's one of the things
I found out early. Yes, and I joined early.
So if every stock that you're good at right
Good
now,
story I'm in, but it didn't go the way I meant it.
you usually handle it. Whatever the story is, you have to manage
The last
it.
one is management. That means I have to manage. For example, with the COVID story, I see the moment, and the one that analyzes it thoroughly. I met the people that to be completely confident. It's called responsiveness. What I'm still wondering about, I dare to go a little high. And later on, his principal was very strict.
You go to a certain level.
If it's not my intention anymore, in my mind, I quit. It's very simple administration because actually, each story will have a different perspective. In the world, for example, it's a different
But in
perspective.
the end of that view is what the future will look like. Whether it's Warren Buffett or Soros,
they all have the same perspective.
Although a speculator,
it's an investor.
It's the same thing that we all do. Wrong
For example,
valuation.
stock pricing
The future
is
of the
wrong.
stock is huge.
Then people fight, or the stock is overvalued. Will you sell it so low?
So everyone's point of view.
Read the story differently. The ability to read a story is the most difficult. I think in the market, reading stories is the hardest. I can't find enough information to read either.
So that's what's important about governance.
Not that I read a great story. Either we go all out or
margin is not enough.
When I invested in real estate stocks. So the story is this money pumping story.
The man who gave birth to this land
then
did not
this
give
company
birth.
has projects that are terrible. Multiply the money with the project. Maybe the stock has to go up in the millions. I almost believe it.
For you, the new investors.
When listening to a media story or to your ears, what steps should I take? How to ask questions so that you don't
It's called
get
having
hurt.
cases where you are.
By from the bottom to the top. Always clinging to the bottom in the end cannot
The story
walk
I
any
think
profit.
is the most important. It's still the price.
When I know the story, what's the stock going on? What state is it in?
That state.
It's too much.
Or it's too big. The risk is high.
If I like to participate,
you have to bring the weight back very low.
Like when you join a fairy tale.
You see the future, it's bright.
Stock it. The book value at the time was nearly $50,000.
So the risk is not high. If the risk is high, you have to be careful.
Industries that read the story, but the price has quadrupled by 3 times. It's not a story anymore. I am the one who knows later. It's reflected in the market too much, meaning I didn't control my expectations.
For example,
at the time.
you are
at
stock
the
time.
X10, then I expect it to X about 5 more times.
That's 50 times.
It was a bit too much. Right.
It's a little
and
too much.
Secondly, we've got to figure out what the market is.
The cycle of the market is
matters.
the cash flow allowed.
In a violent way, then you can totally meet the criteria. It's done as it is now, and it's starting to get hard. Mutation is very 3 or 4 times as much growth as a dream. If you want the opportunity, it's got to have crises. It must have broken down.
Fortunately, there is a chance that it will
but
grow.
It's still going on slowly. Go up. I think the chances of multiplying by 5 by 10 are
Before
0. I met the donor. I usually have a tendency. I have traveled a lot. Every time I see a market, it's
but
an
I
opportunity.
couldn't
make a valuation at I don't know where the market is. Are you close to peaking? Or are you in the accumulation for a recession? Now I'm almost ready for a dose.
The cash is good.
Just for you. It means that if there's a crisis, there's a stock you can buy this money and be financially free. That's why I saw the story that I joined. The market is reading an important story. You yourself. I'm also doing a GPT chat. Assistant found this story. According to my personal thoughts, what criteria do I give?
This story happens in the future.
Even if it doesn't move in the market. If that price action is another story.
There's a technical signal.
But what are the industries where we read the story? State investment in a power sector, for example.
You'll see the story in there.
For example, power. Which companies benefit from it?
When things haven't happened yet,
what factors can be found? A business with a story behind it. Price increase in the future. Let's take this financial statement. For example, has anything changed? Has the board changed anything? Not this big change. What new products to give? This non-profit revenue surge.
The trend of credit growth of the state.
It has a huge impact on the industry and stocks that have that story.
All of those factors.
I'm going to put in the AI because it'll give you more perspective. But suddenly I see a stock I didn't know this was a raw bullet. I have to think about 15. These 20 criteria here, it will bullet out for me. Default raw like that. If you go into the stock, you will see it's the bullet points. Does it meet that criteria? If it doesn't meet the grade, it's lower. Then I don't participate. If the score is higher, I will keep track. That means we have AI now. Support than the investment phase. His fairy tale is that you must meet Mr. High, then the broker on the HSC side. But now it has AI. Maybe I'll find the stock sooner. And the information is pretty accurate. The information can be verified. But the stock wasn't much earlier. Because AI is the same. AI can also be used according to the way you think. How to find. I will personalize my stock according to my idea. For example, it fits the market, then we will allocate. I am ready and I am training for you. It will become a copy of myself. Support let me search faster. I thought of AI as a vehicle. It's not human. It doesn't have to figure it out. It's all the data, or the thoughts that we have to put in. The mind of me. Let it work. It's on top of that, and it gets all the information on the internet. Let it serve you, and all your thoughts are mine. It's about thinking about how it works. What is feedback? Tell him what to do. He has to do it according to his own mind. It means that if I make money, then I make a tough kid who's going to make money. Thanks to you. I didn't make any money before. He won't make any money. It's harder. Personally, you're still in the administration. The most important, I'm still taking a management class. Each time there must be a different manager. To make my sal more the more I improve my ability to manage. The longer you go on the market, the more cycles you will go through. As many cycles as possible I will manage and psychologically manage it as much as possible. The possibility of losing money is reduced. New brothers I think when I first came in, that investment is very dreamy to hear. I'll find a stock that I can multiply assets very quickly. Your donation always comes with the fact that's the story. It has to come with a scale. Suitable capital. Not that I like it so much. I read it all. I heard his story. All the times I've been It's also my lack of understanding. We all have the element of luck in it. FPT is it at a new time. Completely of the economy. Completely of equitization. The opportunity is much, and my fairy tale is that at that time it was the market. It rises from the crisis. Also from the marbles. I remember when I was 2 or 13. It's just starting to recover from the market. Not 14. I just got It's a little late. It's a stock. That's more than double. At the bottom. But the future is new because the cycle has just begun. You have to understand the cycle over and over again. The cycle can't stand 100%. But what the cycle is still doing at a relative level, and it's artistic. It's more experience. It's not that I impose. It's in this cycle. I look at how the market works. I feel like it's in this cycle, combined with the whole cycle of the pump economy. Then I know that this cycle of Vietnam, it's still a growth cycle. That means the government still wants economic growth. So people are also willing to pump money. Money pump M2. What's important is if M2 turns into M1. So M2 is still a short-term deposit. Then BA to 6 months. It was a year. It has to be turned into an M. One is what's called indefinite money, so that people are willing to shift. The interest rate must be low. People have to have opportunities in the market. People are ready to invest. What you said you were going to define. That cycle is quite artistic, and it's a lot of experience. Take, for example, currently the market phase. By 2025, I think it's pretty hard for the brothers and sisters. It means that now what I am doing, it's hard to get into an opportunity. It takes a lot of knowledge of his administration. That's right. Looking at the market, it's constantly fragmented. I just need to get one beat wrong, is that you can put it back into the throttle, into the adjustable beat without holding back. This section needs people. One is very quick. Go into exactly one stock, according to the market. For example, this stage, it's a real estate stock. It sucked money from the CEO or Noblan. That's typical of what it is. The stock has been cleaned. It took a long time for the money to come back. When you get on it too, they're like little people. If you are very suspicious, it will go up a little. If I jump in, maybe it is going, but come back. It's a market correction. It just keeps happening. But I have to look at a long process. The stock must meet the criteria. For example, this suit, the government is pumping money out, flows into real estate. The Vietnamese, it's the easiest thing to get into real estate. Now gold is hard. And people see the difference. It's not at a low price anymore. Let it flow in. It has to fall out anyway. the real estate market, and the real estate stock. The stock, real estate is only speculative in nature, but you can invest for a long time. Of course, when we're talking to each other, I don't like the real estate market. Vietnam is at this stage. Maybe it's growing, but I don't find it attractive anymore. Of course, again, real estate stocks that at this stage are just speculation. I had a message this morning that he had a BCG. BC also seems to have real estate. It's at the bottom of society, and you still hold it. You said the property you thought was good, and he saw the stock was cheap, and he said he's a long-term investor. I think it's a lot. You guys are just like me, a new entry. This is the story I learned very briefly. I don't know much about the market either. How does the stock market work? I only know that there is a story. I think I bought it myself. If I get caught in a situation where I have to understand anyway, the money is now flowing into the market. Real estate. The first is that it's also in stocks. A little universal. Popular, a little more people know. It can't be at the bottom of society, but it can't be. You don't like stocks under par. It's all wrong. What about stocks that suck money? At this stage, the state is also working towards a legal settlement of real estate, probably create conditions for what the project is legally entangled with. So do you still pay debts to the bank? I'm going to direct stocks like this is in a short-term trend or the medium-term money. And if it's in stocks, I don't know. What is the project like? I don't know where to get it. It's harder. Fighting short-term and medium-term it requires a lot of speed, and the thing that handles cutting very quick to discipline. It requires a very high level of general speculation. It must be very experienced in the market. I find it hard. But what is it? I feel this stage is appropriate. It's like thinking like that. Basically, I can feel the money flowing like that. Then I'm going to join some proportion and manage it tightly. Where are the brothers and sisters who are long-term investors? It is best to find good businesses, good branded by gradually, and hold long-term. Avoid raising stocks as the best stock. Thank you for the conversation today. I also know more about what it means to have an asset that goes up in price. There must be a big story behind it. That's attractive enough for investors, and it's simple enough. Simple enough, attractive, and most importantly, attract the crowd when the crowd finds out. And it gets the value, then I take the profit.